Hello there, my lovelies. How are we doing? My name is Boomy and you're watching my channel, Boomy Reactions. Now today, guys, we're going to be checking out a weather-related video. So as a Brit, it's no surprise that the topic of weather I find very, very interesting. It interests me. And not just because British people love having a good old whinge about the weather, and we do. It's a hot topic of conversation. We talk about it all the time. If a British person dares to make, small talk and conversation, if you come over and visit, it will be about the weather. Oh, lovely weather we're having. Without fail. Oh, did you see that rain the other night? The hail. Yes, British people love complaining about the weather, but we do not experience extremes in weather anywhere near as much as some parts of the US. We do have tornadoes apparently, but nowhere near as bad as the ones that you guys will experience quite more frequently as well. Hail, when we whinge about hail, it's teeny weeny little tiny pieces of ice. It's nowhere near what I have seen. Oh, which was that? I think it was earlier this year in Leakey in Texas. I checked out a video and it was like, what, the size of grapefruits or tennis balls. It was absolutely bonkers. And poor Leakey, another video that I've seen was not a hurricane, a tornado. So much awful weather. And this next video stars Texas again with some very, very unfortunate, very freak weather. So I know a lot of you have reached out to tell me that Texas does actually experience snow, and a lot of my patrons have let me know as well. Thank you very much. So it's not uncommon for the Panhandle, the north of Texas, to experience hail and snow. Very, very freak for the south of Texas to experience snow, but it does happen. So here is a video today which has been requested by one of my wonderful patrons. So this one is from Angel Soriano. Thank you, my lovely. And Angel says, so this video is about the 2021 freeze of Texas, when one of the hottest states, and we do, when I think of Texas, I do associate it as being one of the hottest states in the US. So to hear that it experiences freezes and ice and hail and snow, it does sound a bit crazy, but it does happen, doesn't it? So Angel, you say, so Texas got hit by 2 ice storms that nearly destroyed the entire state. Oh, for years. This video is called the infamous Texas deep freeze of 2021, and it's by a channel called Dark Records Docs. So I think a few of my patrons have told me about this occasion. So I'm assuming, is this going to be the whole of Texas that experiences this crazy deep freeze? I mean, we get snow maybe once, twice a year if we're lucky. We're not equipped for it. The whole country completely comes to a standstill. But we love a good snow day. But it's not extreme. Do you know what I mean? Like, some parts of the country will experience more. Like if you're in the Highlands, the Welsh Mountains, there's more. In the north tends to get a bit more. But, it's not a lot. And yeah, you guessed it. We're going to complain about it. We like it, then we hate it. Very British. Anyway, we've done an awful lot of talking already. Let's play the video, baby. Just play the darn video. So here we are, guys. If you are enjoying these reactions, don't forget to like and subscribe, my lovelies. If you're interested, I have a Buy Me Coffee account. That link is over here. And if you would like to help support my channel any further, I have a Patreon account. And if you want to check that out at all, that link is just in the description below there. Oh, here we go. The infamous Texas deep freeze of 2021.
Total power grid collapse.
We're coming for you, man. First floor roof is starting to fall in.
It created a humanitarian crisis.
A statewide blackout.
Texas, a state known for its resilience against heat, suddenly finds itself at the mercy of 2 brutal winter storms. Families are left grappling with the unprecedented cold and days-long power outages. It soon becomes a life-threatening situation. We'll unravel the great Texas freeze, from how it became a record holder to all the ways this could have been less devastating.
So I believe these very infrequent freezes happen every now and again. I think you can go decades like at a time without experiencing this. For the majority of Texas, I mean, like, as we go further down south, it's much more infrequent, I imagine. Am I wrong? Am I right? Okay, so the last one that took place, did they just say was 2017? That's not that long ago, is it?
When the cold front hit that Wednesday, electric utility crews said they were prepared to respond to all reports of power outages. But this could not have been further from the truth. The next morning, the first weather advisory was issued in northwest Texas.
Northwest, okay.
Isolated freezing rain began falling and expanded to neighboring counties after sunset.
So how far are we coming down here? So we've got Austin. Houston is just outside of the warning. Okay. That's still quite far down, isn't it? That's very far down. That's what, just short of the coast?
At 6:30 p.m., a Delta Airlines flight slides off the Pittsburgh International Airport taxiway. With no reports of injuries, passengers were on the aircraft for 3 hours before disembarking. It would be another 24 hours before the plane was removed from the runway. While the Delta incident was quickly managed, it was only the first taste of what was to come as the situation in Texas escalated rapidly. Hours later, the Fort Worth 911 center was inundated with desperate calls.
What do I do? Oh my God. I think I hit Winston. I'm confused. My car was spinning. There's a gentleman in a car next to me. He's just screaming. I don't know how many cars have backed up. They're all stacked on top of each other.
First responders arrived at a massive car accident involving 133 vehicles.
133. That is crazy. That is ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Like, I thought they were going to say like a 4 to 5 car pileup, but oh my gosh.
Many of those involved were healthcare workers wearing scrubs and hospital badges. This included an off-duty EMT who jumped into action, working for hours even though he had a fractured ankle and other injuries from the collision.
Oh, bless him.
We're coming to get you, all right? You hurting anywhere? Can you call out if I break this window?
Fire engines subsequently closed off the roadway to prevent further pileups. Nearly 120 emergency responders were on the scene to clear the roadway. Meanwhile, buses arrived to help motorists warm up after being freed from their cars to prevent hypothermia.
So is this the icy conditions on the road that has led to this?
A 4-hour operation, the death toll would stand at 6, while more than 60 others were treated for injuries, among them 4 police officers. Due to the storm's severity and the scale of the accident, it would be several more days before the road was cleared. The collision was the most staggering crash during the February 2021 storms, but there were many more to come. As the disaster unfolded, Texas declared a state of emergency. However, the response revealed a significant oversight. Despite prioritizing gas, they relied heavily on electric heating. This revealed a lack of preparedness in managing energy. By the weekend, the freezing temperatures had forced 22 gas power plants to close. The infrastructure, including the production facilities and pipelines, were not designed to operate in such cold conditions. With the demand increased, prices spiked, making heating even more expensive and heightening the risks of power outages. Additionally, shutdowns across critical industries threatened to disrupt the economy, not just locally, but nationwide. As if that was not enough, an unprecedented winter event was heading straight for southeastern Texas.
So southeastern Texas. This is the whole of Texas, really, isn't it? This isn't just yes, we normally get colder, freezing weather in the north of Texas. This is everywhere. How often, I think I've already asked this, but how often do these deep freezes, how often do they happen? Gosh, and I suppose, are they a kind of semi-normal phenomenon, or is it, do you think, related to climate change, or?
By the afternoon, an Arctic cold front hit with snow, sleet, and freezing rain battering the area and intensified overnight. The storm was driven by two weather patterns. First, higher than normal pressure over the polar region meant lower pressure in the northern U.S., letting extremely cold air move into Texas. And second, a polar vortex that pushed down intense bursts of cold from the North Pole. Roads became impassable, and temperatures dropped to the teens or single digits in places with wind chills below zero. This triggered the state's first ever wind chill and hard freeze warnings. Demand for electricity and gas soared as people bitterly tried to stay warm in unprepared homes. Due to the overwhelming demand, unplanned outages started happening, and soon the energy provider ERCOT issued a warning about potential rolling blackouts. That very day, President Joe Biden declared a state of emergency. In the early hours of the morning, ERCOT instructed electric companies to reduce power to prevent a grid shutdown. This action, known as load shedding, resulted in more than 3.6 million people losing electricity. Among those affected were the Beckel family, and it all started with a 911 call.
The fire.
We think medical, a wellness check.
What's going on?
We have family there right now, and the last time somebody spoke to them, they fainted on the phone, and we're just trying to find out if they're okay.
Okay, stand on line for Houston Medical. 1 moment.
The Houston Fire Department knocked on the door 13 minutes later, but left when there was no answer.
13 minutes later, that's a pretty fast response. Good job, guys.
When dispatch returned the call, he didn't warn the firefighters about possible carbon monoxide poisoning.
Nobody's on the scene, so it's one of those things. If they get there and they have to force entry, they're going to break the door, displace the lock. Yeah, that's fine. Do that as soon as possible. Okay. But this isn't your family member, right? I mean, this is our family. We think that they might have inhaled carbon monoxide in the garage. Why do you think that? Because of people that had called them in the morning. Why would he have been inhaling carbon monoxide is the question? Because the car was on in the garage and they were cooking because the power was up. They were trying to charge their devices. Well, we have units out there. I'll let them know. I'll make a tactical decision on that incident. I'll get HPD out there.
Again, they left without speaking to anyone inside. It had been more than 2 hours since the first call, and the anxious family member had heard nothing.
Yeah.
I called 2.5 hours ago for a wellness check. I'm calling for an update.
Okay, so we went out there.
Did you make contact with the people inside the home? I spoke to the fire department earlier. It says the truck was there for 15 minutes, but that's all they could tell me.
Okay, that's
people are
the same
still not
thing I can tell you. So I have the same information they have. There's no other update.
Even though this was the third visit to the
Don't seem to have an awful lot of sympathy though. I know they're busy, but, you know, they're worried.
house, the fire department got lost. They arrived just around midnight. There was still no response to the knocking. However, this time, they didn't just walk away. Instead, they called with additional questions before entering the house.
They went
need
to
to
the
gain
address. They
access
said it
here,
was
don't
empty. Why do y'all think someone's there? Or are y'all sure someone's there?
We think that a family of 2 parents and 2 children is unconscious due to carbon monoxide inhalation.
Inside, all 4 family members were found unresponsive.
Oh no.
It's believed the family had been unconscious for more than 12 hours before responders arrived. For the 46-year-old mother and her 7-year-old daughter, it was far too late. They were both pronounced dead at the scene. The father and his 8-year-old son were unconscious, but alive, and rushed to the hospital. Tragically, the front door to the family home had been unlocked all along. Later, it was discovered that the mother was using her car to keep warm. When her husband went to the garage, he found her unconscious inside the car with the engine still running. A Conroe family also woke up to an unimaginable tragedy.
So, was this fairly common? You know, if you don't experience freezing weather very frequently, you're not going to be equipped for it. Why on earth would you be? Because, like I was saying earlier, you know, to hear that there are parts of Texas that experience quite frosty weather, quite cold at times, it surprised me, because I do associate Texas as being the hottest state, as being really, really warm, lovely weather. So naturally, if you don't experience these weather extremes very often, why on earth would you be prepared for them? Because they don't happen. It's like how the UK just is not equipped to deal with heat waves because we rarely get them. More so in more recent years, I think because of global warming. But, you know, we're not prepared for them because normally it's the opposite problem. We're trying to keep warm all the time. So naturally, when this kind of disaster happens, this, you know, in this state of emergency, people are just desperately trying to keep warm and to get power. So they've used the car for warmth without, you know, I suppose the fumes would be an afterthought, wouldn't they? Because your priority would be keeping warm. Why on earth? That makes me cross. The door was unlocked all along. All they had to do was attempt to gain entry, even not even forced entry. And this is the third time that this caller was checking up on their family. They were very specific as well. We believe that they're in danger of inhaling carbon monoxide. I don't think you can be more clearer than that. I think they've been very, very much let down there by the emergency services. I know most of our emergency services are lifesavers. They're there when we need them, you know. But
Less than 24 hours later, 11-year-old Christian Pavone was found unresponsive in the bed he was sharing with his younger brother. Just hours earlier, Christian had been excited to see snow for the first time after moving to the U.S. from Honduras in 2019 to live with his mom. Tragic home video footage shows him playing in the snow. In hopes of staying warm, the entire family of 5 huddled in a single room in the family's mobile home. Christian was pronounced dead that afternoon, seemingly from hypothermia. But the autopsy would tell a different story, one that would lead to a lawsuit. While families faced the brunt of the storm inside their homes, outside, the state's infrastructure began to crumble under pressure. By this point, many methane gas processing plants had lost power because they weren't listed as essential services. This made it harder to supply gas to power stations. To combat the energy shortfall, regulators manually boosted the electricity supply, but this action triggered a sudden spike in prices, with the residents seeing dramatically higher energy bills. Neighboring states were also affected by the cold, but managed to import power from the unaffected East Coast. However, this offered little reprieve for Texas, which has a largely autonomous electric grid with limited outside connections. It was 5 days into the storm, and it just kept getting worse. Grocery stores were starting to feel the weight of the supply issues. Customers were limited in the water and propane sales. Meanwhile, there were conflicting statements in the media regarding the blackout. Government officials said that renewable energy was mainly responsible, while ERCOT contradicted this by saying that frozen wind turbines were not the main factor in the blackouts. The following day, temperatures started picking up, but Texans were unaware of what was still to come. As the day progressed, more power generation was restored and the rolling blackouts ended throughout the state. As the power crisis eased up, a new challenge emerged. The extreme weather had caused water mains to break, forcing people to drip their faucets to prevent pipes from freezing. Additionally, power outages impacted water treatment plants, resulting in a decrease in the water system pressure. The consequences were dire. Almost half of Texans were left without access to clean water. Their only option was to boil water from taps or melt snow. Unfortunately, due to the ongoing power outages, many were unable to do so. The severity of the situation was documented on social media, which was flooded with images of people filling buckets with water and resorting to makeshift solutions like using plastic bags and toilets. The power outages even disrupted food distribution, causing some to be turned away from queues. But for some, it was even worse. Burst pipes and water mains caused severe flooding in some homes and apartments.
We take just having running fresh water for granted, don't we? That's horrible. What's changed to make sure that this doesn't happen again? Because, like I say, it might be really, really freak weather. You probably won't experience it again, maybe in your lifetime, but it can happen. And if it's happened once, that's one too many times to be unprepared. So what has changed? Has the government put things in place to make sure that this doesn't happen again? It's great, you know, that Texas is so autonomous with their energy. But obviously when something happens that is very Texas-centered, you know, where else, who can help? Where else can you get your fuel from? Where else can you get your electricity? Oh my gosh.
Most houses had their water mains buried in the front yard, hidden under layers of snow, making it hard for residents to locate the shutoff valve. While residents struggled with frozen water mains, another emergency unfolded. Firefighters were called to a blaze at the Hilton Garden Inn. They arrived at the hotel where flames and huge columns of smoke were rising from the roof. The hotel was booked to capacity, with locals occupying most of the 102 rooms due to the severe weather, which had left them with limited or no access to water at their homes.
Using it like a bit like a shelter. Yeah, naturally.
4 rooms are starting to fall in. If we're going to start doing something there, we need to start forcing the doors. No time for keys. Some type of Salvation Army response. We got a large number of displaced residents. A large number.
2 days before the fire, frozen pipes had caused flooding in the hotel lobby. To prevent further damage, the fire sprinkler system was turned off. Unfortunately, this left the building vulnerable. When the fire started, the disabled sprinklers let the fire spread quickly. Firefighting was made even harder because burst pipes had also damaged the city's water supply. Firefighters were able to contain the blaze after midnight. 1 guest suffered minor injuries, and 2 others were treated for smoke inhalation. Sadly, a family pet named Chico the Chihuahua was lost in the fire.
Oh, Chico. Oh no, I was just about to say, oh my gosh. Fortunately, only 3 people came away with injuries, but there were no fatalities, except for, this poor baby. Oh.
Just before the 9th day, the Great Freeze was finally over. But for victims affected by the power crisis, their fight was only just beginning. And it was time to figure out why things had gone so horribly wrong. Was the Great Freeze really unprecedented? And was it a coincidence that Texas was caught so off guard? The main issue was undoubtedly the high energy demand for heating in an unprepared state. The disaster was blamed on unprecedented weather, but it was somewhat predictable. This was the 3rd time recommendations were ignored. Surprisingly, the situation could have been much worse.
Oh, I thought he was going to say avoided. Nobody wants to hear that a situation like this can be avoided. It can't really be avoided, can it? You can absolutely be better prepared. And, you know, if there's been 3 warnings put in place to say the state isn't prepared, for it to go ignored 3 times is quite horrendous. So I'm not in favor of, you know, pointing the finger, but was anyone ever found accountable, at least to some degree, for the extent of the damage or the lack of preparedness? I don't know. I still say, if it doesn't happen very often, I think it's kind of forgivable that, you know, there would be an element of not being prepared because it's not something you experience all the time. But, you know, if it has happened before and there's been warnings put in place, and they shouldn't go ignored.
During the power outage, ERCOT admitted in narrowly avoiding a prolonged blackout that could have lasted for months. The company defended its actions, which resulted in the largest forced power cut in U.S. history. Approximately 90% of Texans rely on ERCOT for their electricity, which primarily comes from sources like natural gas, wind, and coal. Despite its crucial role, ERCOT does not operate its own power grid. Instead, it works with over 1,800 companies, providers, and utilities in the energy market to manage the supply of electricity. Tragically, at least 19 people died from carbon monoxide poisoning during the storm. Among them was 11-year-old Christian Pavone, whose autopsy revealed a similar cause of death. Initially suspected to have succumbed to hypothermia, it was later found that carbon monoxide poisoning was the actual culprit. Investigators found the fatal fumes were caused by a gas-powered generator intended for outdoor use. Notably, Texas is among 6 states without a mandate for carbon monoxide alarms. Soon, thousands of Texans filed lawsuits against ERCOT for deaths, injuries, and damages.
So, am I understanding that right? There's no, well, there is a necessity to have carbon monoxide alarms, isn't there? Absolutely. We have to have them in our homes because there's just even one death from carbon monoxide inhalation is too many. But they do happen. And, to just have that little alarm somewhere in your home, it saves countless lives. So am I right in thinking that it's not mandatory in Texas to have these in homes or rental properties, in businesses? Am I understanding that right? And did he say one of a few states? It just seems like a very straightforward thing to say, is there a lot of paperwork in making sure that this is mandatory? It's worth it, isn't it? Why is it not a necessity? I don't know if anyone can answer that. Thank you.
But they would fail.
Maybe I misunderstood.
The Supreme Court ruled that the energy supplier has sovereign immunity, which protects government agencies that provide essential services. There were 246 deaths in total, but even this was debated by the community. The storms caused $80 to $130 billion in losses from damages and missed opportunities. Nearly a year later, the National Transportation Safety Board's investigation into the 133-car pileup found that road operators had been warned about the severe weather. While de-icer was applied to the road surface, temperatures dropped lower than expected, which led to treacherous road conditions. Since then, Texas has passed Senate Bill 3, which mandates the weatherization of energy infrastructure to withstand extreme weather and requires regular compliance inspections.
Okay, so this is one thing that's been put in place to make sure that this doesn't happen again. That's good. We can things like this shouldn't happen, but unfortunately, they do from unpreparedness or maybe just ignorance. If they haven't happened before, maybe you just don't assume that these catastrophes happen. But after they happen once, that's all it takes. But at least learn from it. Change things. Make sure that it doesn't happen again. Or if it does happen, because you can't control weather. It very well could happen again. But make sure that there are better things in place. I think all we have is gritters. Which are like, the little salty rock things that go on the road to stop it from being as icy. I don't think it works that well. But,
ERCOT improved its response to emergencies and public communication, creating a more reliable grid. The Public Utility Commission of Texas also strengthened management and enforcement to ensure compliance with new standards. Furthermore, public awareness campaigns have educated residents on home insulation, emergency preparations, and the dangers of carbon monoxide poisoning.
And the dangers of using generators that are intended for outdoor use. But I don't know, when you're desperate, it's you're backed into a corner where you have to make a decision. Is it worth it? Well, what's more dangerous to you imminently, immediately? And if it's the cold, or if you didn't know that was going to happen. Oh, my heart absolutely bleeds for the residents here. It's horrible.
But questions remain. Will these measures handle future extreme weather? Will weatherization finally be a priority? And most importantly, is Texas prepared for future storms? Watch this episode next if you found this video interesting. Please add a like and leave a comment if you want to support the channel.
It's very, very interesting. I suppose my question, again, guys, is do you think that this has made the state more prepared? Should it happen in the future? I know it's very freak weather, and I understand that it doesn't happen very often. So I think the temptation is to think how much spending needs to realistically be put into this, because it doesn't happen very often. But it's the wrong attitude, isn't it? It's a tough one, because I think if you've had enough of these deadly, icy storms, if you've had more than one, even if it was, 80 years ago, still got a likelihood of happening again, especially with so much change going on climate-wise. It's definitely worth investing in, isn't it? Even if it's just the smallest changes, like making it mandatory to put carbon monoxide detectors in all homes, in every home. I don't know, maybe if firefighters can launch a campaign to educate people and to give out free carbon monoxide alarms. I think that happened over here. So, we're better educated because of it. But I think like 50 years ago, not many people would have even entertained the idea that carbon monoxide is a very real danger in the home if you have an old boiler, in our case. So yeah, I suppose my question is, what's changed? Do you think it's enough? Have the government really gone above and beyond just to make sure that this doesn't happen again? Just even one death from that is just far too many, isn't it? So awful. And it's crazy to hear about, because like I said, we associate Texas as being like a really, really hot state in the US. And to hear that there's these awful icy conditions, it is a little bit crazy. But yes, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching along with me. I hope you found that as interesting as I did. But do let me know, have things changed for the better? Has this educated people and governments alike? Was anyone found accountable for being negligent or ignoring warnings, which it happens, doesn't it? But do let me know, guys. And thank you, Angel, once again for requesting this video, my lovely. Very, very interesting. So sad to see as well. I've seen so many awful weather conditions, particularly in Texas. Poor Texas. So yes, take care of yourselves, my lovelies, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.